Hi everyone and welcome to this new video on MyAniMATE3 features. So last time we left off in the rigging tools at the half with the presentation of the standard skeleton rig. In this video we're going to focus on the rig controller's manipulations because the modular rig setups would take a little bit more time. So let's expand this, and in here we can find a few useful controls to change our controller's shapes and also to create our own new controller shapes. Now, the very first thing that you may notice is that a few of these controllers, like these, right? So if I put wireframe, are inside of the mesh, and that makes it not really that easy to work with, right? So instead of having you to get into the various sub components like the vertices and do your manipulation by hand, here there is a set of controls just thought to help you in manipulating easily without too much trouble. So the first slider is the controller scale, and this is an additive or subtractive kind of control. So, okay, I want to make this bigger because right now it's inside of the mesh and I cannot really select it easily. So what I'm gonna do is to set this to 1.2. Okay, so that basically every time I click on apply scale, it will apply a 20% scale on top. And if I had to make it smaller, I would go under the number 1. Okay. Every time I click, this scale will be applied additively on top of the current size. So if I apply scale multiple times, you can see that it's getting bigger and bigger. And now I can easily see and select this control. All right, so I will do the same here. Cool. And I will do the same as well for the FK controllers. All right, something like that. Now you will notice that this shape here is not really optimal to make it easy on your side to understand what a controller is what over there. So before we start changing the rotations and positions with other controllers, let's take a look at what we can do to change the actual shape that we have here. Now, you can select more than one, and the change that you're going to do is going to be applied on all of your selection. So iteratively, the change will be applied to the first and the second, and so on and so forth if you had more. All right, so if we click once on these menu entries, you can see a preview of what that controller looks like. And for these, I guess the best thing is to have either a circle no offset or just a circle that instead has an offset. Okay, so I'm gonna use the circle. Okay, and I'm gonna double click it. Now wireframe, and you see that the controller is now there. both controllers are now there. So I can now apply the scale. So for the lower part is fine. Let's do that on the top too. And I see that this is too big right now. It sticks out a lot on the back, both of them actually, and not enough on the front. So I'm gonna scale it down by 10% increments, like this, and also this one. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to skip the rotation. We'll see that in a minute. And use the controller position. So if you look at the manipulators, they're grayed out because they're locked. You can understand from these little pads here what the direction is. So this is the pad that looks at the y-axis. This is the pad that looks at the x-axis, and the remaining one is the z-axis. So in here we have also the option to move things. So I'm gonna move this on the y-axis, and the slider here will help me move it in a specific direction. So +1 will go this direction, plus y. -1 will go in the other direction. So I want to move it forward by 1 centimeter per click. So I moved it. Yeah, that looks correct. All right, I'm gonna do that the same here for the top one. All right, so now we have an easier time selecting the center controllers. Cool. So I want to do the same on the arms, on both of them, for the FK. And I'm going back to this time the circle no offset. That's what I want to do. If I can find it, that's the circle. And then circle no offset. Boom, done. So I'm going to scale them down. Okay, the shoulders are fine now. I deselect them. Okay, the elbows are okay now. And these are the wrists. Much cleaner and nicer. Right, so yeah. Notice that if we go to the wireframe, also the face joints have controllers. Cool. I just noticed that they could probably not be visible there, but you have controllers, FK controllers, for the face as well. So yeah, that's that. Now say that for your avatar or for the creature or whatever you're trying to animate with this control skeleton, control rig, you have to change, or you would like to change, where these controllers point at, because probably it's an odd rotation, or probably it's not easy to select. Let's take a look at the rotation. So we have a few controllers for the rotation because rotations are always more complicated than other transforms. So first of all, here we have the slider that will give me a rotation of in the positive or negative direction. You can see that the slider basically has increments that might be too much or too little. So here on the right hand side, aside from the direction that you want to rotate on top, we also have an indicator or something to set the increment that this slider is working on. So currently, and that's the default, it's set to 15. So basically, it's every 15 degrees there will be a tick on the slider. But if we change that to say 5, every tick will be a 5 degrees increment. Okay, same thing goes for the 10 or 20. All right, so I will keep that to 15 because it makes it easy to do uh, like 45 and 90 degrees in really not much of an effort. All right, and then I have to decide which axis I want to rotate around. So again, these little pads here can help us identify the axis, and I want them to rotate around the wrist here, which is basically the plane represented by this pad here. Okay, so the x-axis, not the z. Let's go with the x and apply rotation. It will rotate 90 degrees. Okay, so yeah, maybe that's the wrong rotation. Don't do Control Z. Just go the other way around and click Apply Rotation twice. If you do Control Z, there will be a series of operations being shown to you until you get back, which is not optimal, especially if you have a limited undo history. So just rely on the tool itself. It's just better. All right, and then I want them to be, I want these rhomboids to be vertical, not like this. So again, I want them to rotate like this, which is represented by this pad, which means it's the Z axis. So let's go with Z. And let's put them at 45 degrees. You see? Don't like it? 90 degrees? Fine. Another click. And it's done. All right. This is all good. And I mean, applying different transforms and different looks to your controllers goes a long way in for animating easily and pleasantly, and makes it easier to select things, of course. But yeah, let's hide. Well, let's hide this way for a moment our friend here. And let's take a look at the other options that we have here. Now, if you don't have anything selected, so make sure you don't have anything selected, when you double click on one of these controllers, say the square control, a controller will be created, a controller setup will be created in the center of the scene for you to use in your rigging endeavors, for your custom things, because, well, this is the custom, actually the standard skeleton rig, but if you have just a subset of the joints and whatnot, you might not find anything that works exactly as you need it to be. So yeah, this is a way to create a controller so that you can then move it, place it somewhere, and have the thing work for you. Now, if you have a controller selected instead, a controller, not the group, double clicking will just change the shape of that controller. Okay. And if you have joints instead, let's create some joints. Super tiny as usual. So select the hierarchy and let's make 20, 50, so it's easier to see. All right, so if you have a joint selected and you double click, it will create the controller on that joint that you had selected. Nothing else gets created. The controller is not operational. Okay, it's just placed and oriented with your joints. Now, okay, this is a custom joint. It works, of course, on the Second Life avatar as well. All right, but that's the gist of it. If you want your skeleton to have its own type of controller and its own type of setup, you can quickly create your controllers doing this. And then, oh, we also have these user-defined shapes that we're going to take a look at in a minute. But here it is. We have a controller there that actually has the shape that is displayed here. All right, so maybe you want to then scale it down. And you have your controller of the shape that you actually like to use. And I mean, nothing forbids you to go there and say, okay, so I prefer the cylinder. The circle is basically outdated. So you go there, boom, double click, and you get the cylinder. And you have two controllers of the same shape. All right, so basically the permutations are infinite at this point. And what is really nice is that you can also, if you take a look at this little corner here, you can also select one of these and select a color from a basic color palette here. You can pick the screen color from somewhere on the screen. You can add the custom color. So take that and you can add it, so that you can reuse it over and over. And then with OK, you apply that color to the controller. Of course, it works also with multiple selections. So I want to use the same color. Boom, all of them get that same color. Okay, these controllers, though, were named after the joint that was selected at the time of creation. This other one was not, and it's got its own name, as you can see. Square control group, square control. Now let's try to create another floating, completely random, so nothing selected. You want to give it a name. Just give it a name over here. You just type in whatever, okay? And let's create a new iron sight. Now this new one is called whatever group, whatever control group, and whatever control. So we have the control called whatever. Okay, so nice and easy. And then also now you have the option to create your own controllers and store them away over here in the user-defined shapes. These are going to be saved in a file within the MyAniMate package. And you can also define the image that you want to be associated with it. So let's delete all of this stuff. We don't need that anymore. Should be okay. So let's delete that one. Let's make a crazy shape that we want to save. So I will start with a circle and make it bigger. Then let's move this aside. Say that we want more sections, like 16 sections, which means that we will have many more points here. Okay, so I'm gonna grab the main ones. Okay, so something like that. And also, we want that to be this direction and then this direction. Let's turn off the grid. So basically, the final controller will be the compound shape made like this. Okay, so on the right side, you can create the shape, and it's now one single shape. Okay, one single object. It's now ready to be saved. Alrighty, and that is done by giving it a name. How could we call it? Blob. And with that one selected, we're going to save the shape. The blob now is available down here, which means that if let's move this away and deselect everything, I'm going to double click, and we've got our blob shape back in form of a controller. So a group named after it and blob. Now notice how the word control, CTRL, should be also included, all right, when saving things off, right? So, okay, say that we have made a mistake there, so we want to redo that. And so with this one selected, delete shape, yes, all right. Save. We already created the shape, and it's fine. We call it blob CTRL. With that one selected, save shape. Now it's blob CTRL. Double click, and the new control and control group is called blob control group, blob control. Nice and easy. But you now may notice that the preview, of course, it says not available because there is no image associated with it. All right, so give me a minute and I will show you how that's the case, how to create these images, because it's really, really easy. All right, so we're back. Um, Now it's very easy. Wherever you have installed MyAniMate3, in my case it's in here, you will find it. MyAniMate3, you will be inside of a main MyAniMate3 folder that contains MyAniMate3 and a user setup.py. We dive into this. Under UI, we have another folder called icons. Now, as you can see here, we have a arrowx underscore control.png. And if we check the properties, no, cannot see that for the size. Too bad. So let's open this with GIMP, which opened up on the other side. And it is a 128 by 128. Just take a little screenshot of your interface, however you like, but I would suggest to keep using the black background that you can get by using Alt B. Alt B lets you cycle through different backgrounds. Deselect, select the thing, but have tools deselected. Take the screenshot as square as possible, then shrink it down to 128 by 128, and then throw it into the icons folder. Next time you will click on that, it's going to just appear. It's not going to, if you're visualizing the blob control, it's not going to magically update. You'll need to click on something else and then blob control again, and this is going to be updated. And that's that easy. So yeah, I hope that this is a set of tools that may be useful to you if you're creating custom controls for your custom maybe animations, most likely. Let me bring back my beloved gradient background. So yeah, that's gonna be that's gonna be it for today. Yeah, thank you very much for watching, and until the next time, have fun. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.